Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are taking a deep dive into one of the most durable relationships in modern politics, the one between India and Russia. In a world that seems to be getting more chaotic by the day, this partnership stands out. The big question is, why? I think this quote from our source material really just nails it. While everyone else is scrambling, this one relationship just seems clear. So what's the secret sauce here? What makes this partnership so solid when everything else feels like it's in flux? Well, that's exactly what we're here to figure out. So to get to the bottom of this, we're going to break it down into 5 key parts. We'll start with the history, because you can't understand the present without it. Then we'll look at the incredible balancing act India is pulling off. After that, we'll get into the military hardware that really cements this thing. We'll even tackle that really tough question about Ukraine. And finally, we'll zoom all the way out to see the huge strategic game that might be going on. All right, let's start at the beginning. This isn't some new convenient friendship. No, this relationship has been built over decades on a really solid foundation. And this is a theme that comes up again and again in the analysis we're looking at. The world is just messy right now. But the bond between India and Russia, it's a stark contrast. You could almost call it a pocket of stability in a sea of total uncertainty. Now, this timeline really highlights something crucial. It's not just about countries, it's about people. I mean, look at that 2001 date. That very first formal summit had both Putin and Modi in the room. This isn't some abstract foreign policy. It's been reinforced by leaders who've known each other personally for a quarter of a century. That's a long time in politics. So you have this deep history. But how does that translate into today's world? Well, it's become the bedrock for a very deliberate, very careful global strategy. Okay, to really get what India is doing, you have to understand this one key concept: strategic autonomy. Think of it this way. It's not about picking a team, Russia or the West. It's about being the captain of your own team. It gives India the freedom to work with everybody, to pursue its own interests without getting locked in to any single alliance. And this slide, wow. It shows that balancing act in real time. Just 2 days before rolling out the red carpet for President Putin, India was shaking hands on a billion-dollar deal for American military helicopters. That is a powerful, powerful message to the entire world that India is steering its own ship. But what makes this relationship so real, so tangible? I mean, what makes it so hard for other countries to pull it apart? Well, a lot of it comes down to the hardware. The defense side of things is really the bedrock of this whole alliance. The source material we're looking at calls these deals a game changer. And honestly, that's not an exaggeration. We're not talking about run-of-the-mill equipment here. The S-400 is one of the best air defense systems on the planet. And they're already talking about the next generation, the S-500 and the Su-57 stealth fighter. These are absolutely top-tier strategic game changers. And this is so important. It's not a one-way street. The whole thing is framed as a win-win. For Russia, it means they have a huge, reliable partner for everything from military sales to energy. And for India, it gets access to incredible technology, not just for defense, but in space, in nuclear energy, stuff it just can't get anywhere else. It's a massive boost to its strategic position. This comparison really gets to the heart of why India so often goes with Russian gear. You look at the Su-57 versus the American F-35, and the biggest difference isn't just about which plane flies faster. It's that Russia offers technology transfer. They give India the opportunity to build things at home under its Make in India program. It's about becoming self-reliant, not just buying something off the shelf. Okay, but this all leads to a really tough question, one that's been on everyone's mind lately, and our source material doesn't shy away from it. And there it is, the critical counter-argument. You hear it all the time. If Russia is such a premier military partner with all this amazing tech, why has its own campaign in Ukraine run into so many problems? It's a fair question. Well, the explanation offered in the analysis is pretty direct. Russia isn't just fighting Ukraine, it's essentially fighting a proxy war. The argument is that Russia is up against the combined industrial and military power of the US, the EU, and NATO, who are all pouring weapons, intelligence, and money into Ukraine. So all of this, the history, the balancing act, the hardware, it leads us to the final and maybe the most important piece of this whole puzzle, the grand strategy that might be moving all the pieces on the board. Now, it's really important to frame this next part carefully. This is the perspective of one particular analyst cited in our source. The viewpoint is that under the surface, there's a much bigger geopolitical chess game at play, one driven by a U.S. strategy to hold on to its spot at the top. So, according to this viewpoint, the biggest challengers to the way things are right now are these three nations: Russia, India, and China. And the alleged strategy against them involves a mix of economic, military, and political pressure, all designed to slow them down and keep them from gaining more influence. And that brings it all home. From this perspective, the alliance between India and Russia isn't just about friendly history or buying weapons. It's seen as a strategic necessity. It's a calculated move for both countries to team up, to push back against that pressure, and to make sure they can carve out their own paths in a world full of competition. And really, that leaves us with one final big question to chew on. The old world order, with one clear superpower, is fading. As new powers like India continue to rise, the actual rules of the global game are being rewritten. And alliances just like this one aren't just reacting to change, they're the ones drawing the new lines on the map. The only question is, what will that new map look like?